Okay, next video. You only have to watch it if you need help. Increasing versus positive, looking at graphs. Increasing means it's going up and to the right as you go to the right, okay? So when we talk about the word increasing, you can think of it as, is the slope positive? That's one way to think about it. But as you go to the right, so that's x going to infinity, or x getting bigger, is the y value getting larger. Okay, that's how you know if something is increasing. As you go to the right, the y value goes up. So if I'm looking at this, let's see, from here, as my pen follows this and goes to the right, it's also going up, right? So that's increasing. But then all of a sudden, right around that spot at B, as I continue going to the right, it starts decreasing. The function is going down. So this blue side here, it's increasing because as I go to the right, it's going up. But on this right side here, as I go to the right, the function's going down. So that would be decreasing. So now I got to read this question. The function is graphed below. What is true about the graph on the interval from x equals c? Okay, so let's look at where that is. From x equals c to infinity. So that means on this side of the graph. Okay, so from this point to the right. So I have to follow that point and to the right and see what's going on. So from that point, and I follow the graph and go to the right on it, what is happening? Well, it's going down as I go to the right. So this particular function is decreasing. Whoops. Because on that side, as I go to the right, it's going down. But they're also asking about what happens. How do you know if it's positive or negative? Okay. To figure out if a graph is positive, let me just type it this way. For a graph to be positive, in that interval, the y values are positive, which means it's above the x-axis. The graph is above the x-axis there. So if I look at this graph here and I go, okay, they're asking me about this section of the graph. Is that section of the graph above or below the x-axis? Well, it's below. So in this spot, it's not positive, it's actually negative. So when I go back to the question, as x goes from c, whoa, hey, as x goes from c to infinity, as this is happening, the function is decreasing and it's negative. So if I go over here, it is decreasing and negative. So that would be my right answer. If I hit it, did I get it right? Ta-da! Let's do it again. Next question. So we got to figure out where is it positive and negative and where is it increasing or decreasing. But specifically, this time they're asking about when x starts at negative infinity and then goes over to a. So when it starts at, negative infinity for x is over here, right? And this is positive infinity for x. Whoa, that's terrible. Use my finger, it might be easier. There we go. And it says it's starting way over here and then getting over to A and then stopping. So this side of the graph is what they're asking about. So if we think of it this way, if I draw a little shaded area, they're asking about from A and then in this direction. So if I put a little box in the area that I care about, then I can see which part of the graph do I actually care about. I only care about this part of the graph right here. That's all they're asking me about. Okay, starting here, going in that direction. So what's going on in that direction? Well, as you go to the right, is this thing going up or is it going down? It's going up. So we would call that increasing. We also need to check, is this part of the graph, is it above or below the x-axis? Right, here's the x-axis. Well, it's below, so we would call that negative. So it's the graph is negative in here, but it's going up and to the right, so it's increasing. So we go back, say it's negative and increasing. Negative and increasing. Boom. Take that math. Haha. Next. Okay, so we got to figure out which part do they care about in this. Okay, so they're asking from x equals c to infinity. So if I'm starting at c and then going to the right, so let me draw a little box around that area. C and then to the right, right? Towards infinity, although we will never get to infinity. Right? So we're going this way. So what part of the graph do I care about? This little guy right here, this little curve right there. Okay, so first of all, as we go to the right, is that part of the graph going up or down? As you go to the right, well, it's going up. So that would make it increasing. Then we figure out, okay, in that part of the graph, is it above or below the x-axis? Well, it's above that x-axis, right? So since it's above, then we know that that part of the graph is positive. So we're going to be looking for an answer that says positive and increasing. Positive and increasing. Boom. Take that, math. Ka-cha. Next. Okay, so from x equals negative infinity to a. So I'm going to draw a little box. Here's a. So it's saying from forever left until we get up to a, right, in that area. So what part of the graph do I care about? This little guy right here. This was just like the one we did a minute ago. It's all good. So in that part of the graph, as you go to the right, if I was following this thing going to the right, I'd be going up, which makes it increasing. Cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha. Increasing up and to the right. Ka-chow. And then we check, okay, so to see if it's positive or negative, we check in that part of the graph, is it above or below that x-axis? It is below, so it is decreasing. I'm sorry, my bad, it is negative. Negative, got it. Increasing, negative, back to the question. Increasing, negative, negative and increasing, boom. Take that, math, boom. Ka-chow. I think you get the idea. Got it? Coolio? Boom.